Welcome to Wine Road, the wine, when, and where of Northern Sonoma County. I'm your host, Marcy Gordon, with Beth Costa, Executive Director of the Wine Road.
Thanks to Ron Rubin, we're able to keep our podcast rolling along. The financial support of River Road Family Vineyards and Winery allows us to keep recording, keep sipping wine, and keep sharing stories with our listeners. Check out their website at riverroadvineyards.com and explore their Chardonnay, as well as a finely crafted Pinot Noir from the Russian River Valley. That's riverroadvineyards.com. And hey, thanks, Ron, for allowing us to make this show happen.
Time flies when you're drinking wine. Welcome to episode 210. 210, can you believe it?
No, I cannot, actually.
It just seems like ever since 200, things have been speeding up.
Oh.
But today, our guest is Ed Morris from River Road Winery, and he's the winemaker over there. And we, just a couple of weeks ago, had a very special episode with Ron Rubin, who owns the winery. And we got the surprise of our lives when they show up with a barrel of Pinot Meunier that we got to barrel taste. And so we're like, Ed, you got to come back, and we have to talk about that and talk about all the other things that are happening at the winery. So welcome, Ed. We're glad you're back.
All right. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
So you brought us something delicious this morning.
Yes.
Tell us about this wine.
So this is a newly bottled estate Chardonnay. It's called our Mills Chardonnay, and it's 2023 vintage. I'm very excited about it because the last time we did a Mills Chardonnay was in 2018. So excited to bring it back into the mix.
And so you hadn't bottled since 2018 because?
Things change in terms of your production goals, et cetera, and we saw an opportunity now to bring it back into the mix. Yeah.
God, that's good.
This is a lovely wine.
Yes.
It's Green Valley, so it's a state. Our winery is off of Ross Road, and it's 14 miles from the coast. So to me, it is a coastal vineyard.
Super cool, yeah.
And I wanted to kind of highlight that in the wine in terms of its structure, its acid structure, and kind of tension. And so I thought about all the aspects of it, and I tailored the oak program to fit that as well. And the Green Valley and the Russian River Valley were both designated AVAs in 1983, believe it or not.
Wow.
But I think what makes the Green Valley distinct is we have a lot of gold-rich soil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so what you're saying with the tension, I get a lot of flintiness, that kind of limestone and the minerality. Yeah. It's just beautiful. But that is indicative of Green Valley.
Yeah, for sure.
And so you really made this very much to its namesake. This is really lovely.
Yeah, thank you. A lot of work goes into it in terms of all the planning and the vineyard work, and you have to go into it with intention, and we really did with this vintage. We nailed the harvest date in terms of the brix levels and the acid levels, so there was no adjustments needed in terms of what was happening in the cellar, and we did all the work leading up to it, and then the wine just kind of did its thing and made itself.
It's just beautiful. I mean, the oak part, it's just like so a light touch, and it's almost barely there.
Right.
But you get that in the structure.
Right.
But you don't get it in the flavor or in the scent.
Yeah, because I was thinking, is this done in stainless? Yeah, it definitely is super light.
You're a wizard, Ed.
Yeah.
He waves that wand.
I am I'm a total oak geek and wine geek.
Of course,
barrel maker, yeah.
Right. And so what I really love to do is highlight more lighter toasted wood, so more fresh wood. And what that does is it brings more fresh oak tannins into the mix. And one thing that fascinates me about oak tannins is that they're very highly antioxidant, right? So when you utilize them in winemaking with intention, you can infuse your wine with an antioxidant character, and it really brings in a freshness and energy. So it's a deeper way of kind of utilizing oak rather than just thinking about it in terms of how does it smell and taste and feel.
Sometimes you think people think of oak as taking something away,
right,
instead of adding a value,
right,
or mellowing something. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I think spot on. You've hit it here.
Yes. Thank you.
Is this a new label?
It is.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah, we're excited about it. So it has this nice kind of
river
sandy loam color.
The color is great.
That's to emulate the gold-rich soil. Yeah, and then the river in that split there, that harkens to River Road. And so the first vineyards that the original owners bought were on River Road, so that's where that name comes from. And so we want to highlight that.
Yeah, I love it. And in the R, we've brought that split too in this top. That looks new as well.
Yeah, they're real sharp. I love the
Yeah,
new
you guys
labels.
always have great iconography. It always looks really wonderful.
You know, I got to give an ode to Ron on that one. He's got a great eye for detail
He
in
totally does.
labels.
I think he just wakes up in the middle of the night with these ideas.
Yeah, just like you woke up in the middle of the night thinking about, hey, I'm
bring
gonna have
a
Ed
barrel.
bring a barrel over there.
I know. I thought, well, I guess you must be used to that by now.
That has to go down in history as the most exciting wine of the day we've ever had.
I was not upset about it. It was a great phone call to get at 7 in the morning.
And you're like, yeah,
and
I
I'm
hadn't thought of
totally
that.
serious. Like, I'm listening to, pitch this
the
idea, and I
enthusiasm.
just got this smile on my face. I'm like, this is a fantastic idea. He's like, can you do it? I'm like, yeah, we can do it. And we are going to do it.
Can you do it in the next hour? Yeah.
Yeah.
Better yet.
What a surprise that was. Yeah.
That was so cool. Well, we appreciate you guys, and we want to support you in any way we can. And
Well, that was a big
awesome.
support. And so,
was
obviously,
super
if
fun.
you're hearing this episode, that was episode dropped a couple of
Yeah, 207.
207. Go listen to it if you haven't heard it yet, because it's a, just spending that much time with Ron and being able to hear his story. It was just amazing. It's such a great episode. And he couldn't be here for our 200th episode. So that's really our ode to the 200th
Yeah.
with Ron. And that Pinot Meunier really capped it off. That was great. And so we're excited that's going to be bottled and be available to buy.
By
Such
now.
a lovely wine.
Yeah.
yeah, and the Pinot Meunier is a throwback for me as well. My first vintage at River Road was in 2010, and I do distinctly remember the Pinot Meunier. And then 2011 as well. I mean, those were, just thinking back, 2 poor vintages to kind of start your winemaking career in, because they were really
Nice.
bad vintages
Yeah.
in general. Cold, wet, rainy, etc.
What doesn't
but-
kill you makes you stronger, you know?
But I do remember the Pinot Meunier being so distinctly different than all the Pinot Noir that we were doing, and we did make it for a few years after that, and then we stopped for a while. So what you guys tasted out of the barrel in the back of the pickup was the first time that we're making Pinot Meunier since I think our last vintage was maybe 2012
Wow.
maybe.
Yeah.
So it's been quite a
That's
few
a while.
years.
Yeah.
Been more than a decade.
It's hard to get the Pinot Meunier because a lot of it goes to sparkling,
Right.
and that those grapes for sparkling gets harvested earlier. So if you're a grape grower and you're able to pull your grapes off the vine sooner,
Right.
Be done with it. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you're not really hanging around for someone who wants to buy the grapes for just the direct to the varietal.
and
Yeah.
your risk is less in
Yeah.
terms of like late problematic weather.
Right,
So if you have a
exactly.
late rain, or
Yeah.
if the weather gets
Too hot, too wet.
the
You don't
sooner
wanna
you get them off
gamble
the
it.
vine, the
Yeah.
more the better.
But that speaks too to also, like you were saying with this wine, this Chardonnay we're drinking, your wines are intentional. Like you're not going to make something just to make it.
Mhm.
It's
It's
very
not a
much
set portfolio. It's
to make it to be the best you can. I mean, you have
Right.
some wines that are set, but there's a lot of flexibility in the program that allows for something really special to come through.
I think you have to allow that. I think at the end of the day, we work with nature, and the more that we can be in tune with what nature wants to give us and highlight that, the better off we're going to be as winemakers and craftspeople in general. So
Yeah, paying attention.
correct, yeah, and really just trying to nurture the best of what's there, and just get out of the way and let it speak, really.
Exactly. And that's very hard to do. I mean, we all have, I find I get in my own way for a lot of things, but to be able to
Oh, yeah.
just step aside and have that patience,
Yeah.
Right.
it's difficult.
It's a balance, because sometimes you certainly have to intervene.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing you as a winemaker you gain with experience is knowing when to step in and knowing when not to.
Right.
I love winemaking because there's times where you think you've ruined everything, and then you spend 2 days wallowing about it, and then you're like, oh, never mind, it was fine.
Yeah.
And you're like, whew. So
That's the story of my life.
right. So, things present themselves sometimes in not a very clear way, and you're always investigating. You're always thinking back, and you're always thinking about, okay, so I experienced something like this, maybe 4 years ago.
That's the thing. It's
Yeah.
somewhere along the line,
You're
or
per-
somebody else did, another winemaker. If you can
Exactly.
commiserate with somebody else,
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
personal knowledge base
Right.
that just builds and builds, and wine is so active and living and changeable that
Yeah.
from one day to the next you really can't be sure what's going to happen.
Right.
Right. You think it's going left and it goes
Goes right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to taste some more just to make sure.
Oh yes, so the quality control on best part here. So is there anything else new coming down the pike that is worthy? We got the Pinot Meunier coming. We have this beautiful Mills Vineyard Green Valley.
And so we do, and so the Mills Vineyard is our estate Chardonnay, and then we do a Stephanie's Vineyard, which is our estate Pinot Noir. So we just bottled.
So who's Stephanie?
So this.
I asked the dumb
says
questions.
that like a jealous woman.
No.
Like
I asked the dumb.
No, that's a good question because so the Mills, that's the Mills is the last name of the founding family of River Road Family Vineyards.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it was Gary. Wasn't it?
Gary Mills.
Yeah.
Yep. And so Ron bought the winery in December 2011. It closed, and the Mills developed the winery, the physical winery where we're at now. In 1999, 2000, they planted the vineyard sometime around 2002, 2003, and they named the Chardonnay Mills, their last name. And then they named the Pinot Stephanie, and Stephanie was one of the brothers' daughters.
Oh, okay.
yes, I think Ron mentioned that.
Yeah.
In his podcast, he talked
Yeah.
about that. Yes.
And, Ron felt it important to keep
Right,
those
keep that.
yeah,
keep
that
those
legacy.
names. The
Yeah.
legacy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So
Right.
and so the Stephanie Pinot, it has the label looks extremely similar, and because they're estate wines, they have this Gold Ridge soil coloration on it, and so they're both beautiful packages, and the wines are beautiful as well.
Yes, he brought. We looked at those. We have the bottles, and I remember it was just very striking with the new logo.
I love the river
Design.
cut through there. Yeah.
But I think this color is so striking too.
And I love that where Ron's wants to highlight the dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's at the end of
what
the day.
it's all about.
But customers love hearing about that, and understanding that.
Yeah.
How the
Yeah,
soil.
I think
is
with
it.
wine, it's like it's the place.
It's it.
It really is the place and the history of the place, and you come up with these unique geographical areas that create a unique wine.
Right.
And here in Sonoma County, Sebastopol, Russian River Valley, Green Valley, it's that Gold Ridge soil that is kind of the A plus. That's what everybody wants.
Right.
Yeah, it's super distinctive.
Yeah, right. And it's funny when I grew up off of Laguna Road, West Santa Rosa, and it was Gold Ridge soil. And I grew up with my grandparents, and my grandpa was an avid gardener. So he grew a huge garden every year, and he complained to no end how poor the soil was for vegetables.
Interesting.
Yeah, you had to water it all the time, and
Yeah.
you got to there's no nutrients in it, so you got to fertilize it all the time, and he just thought it was such poor dirt.
That's so funny.
But little did he know he was sitting on gold.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have a real legacy. You are a hometown,
Yeah.
born and bred here.
Yeah. So I was born up on the coast, Fort Bragg.
Oh my gosh. That's where I always vacationed as a kid.
Yeah, I lived up there for a couple of years, moved to neighboring county, Lake County, and then moved to West Santa Rosa when I was 8 years old.
Wow.
So I went to school at Williside Middle School, and then El Molino High School. So I really grew up, in high school, we grew up roaming the vineyards.
Yeah.
You're right.
When we would go out on the weekend,
Right.
we would
When you were raising hell in the vineyards as
Yep.
a high school kid.
Yep, and orchards too.
Yeah,
There was a lot
right.
more orchards in
Oh,
Sonoma
yeah,
County
for
back
sure.
then.
That's so nice, that full circle, and then you became a cooper, and now you're in wine. So you're back. The land has always been a very important part in your life.
Yeah, and it still is. And so I think that's where that deep respect comes from, because, it's really allowed me to live here and raise a family. My wife and I are so fortunate to own property here now. And I'm so thankful
Yeah.
to be able to do what we do.
And you have two girls?
3 boys.
3 boys. Why did I
Yeah.
say 2
Yeah,
girls?
she was
I
so
don't know.
close. She had a 50-50 shot there.
Yeah.
I struck
Blew
out on
it
all
entirely.
with 3 boys because I think the last time Beth said, "How are the little ones?" They're not little anymore.
Yeah. So the oldest one's 11, and then the middle one's 8, and then the youngest one's 6.
Wow, those are great ages.
Yeah, they're so fun and just smart Alex. But we have a good time.
Do they
kidding.
ever get to come to the winery and see where Dad works?
Yeah,
So
they do.
They must be very impressed. I mean,
Yeah.
that's like for boys, especially all the machinery and all the
Yeah,
stuff. It's got to
yeah.
be a
They-
living Tonka toy.
Yep. They love the forklift.
Yes.
Oh, fun.
And
Well, yeah.
then, particularly during harvest when I have to go in on the weekends or Sundays, I'll bring the boys in, and because Sundays is our kind of quiet day at the winery where we don't process any fruit.
Right.
We still have all of our wines and fermentations to manage, so we have to go in there for a limited time, but I'll bring the kids in there and we'll do punch downs together. And
fun.
so,
Fun.
yeah, and my oldest one at this point, he's actually asking like, "Hey, when is harvest?
When's harvest? Yeah.
when can we go
that's so
do punch
cool.
downs?"
Yeah.
So he's getting a little bit of the bug.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, he still has wild dreams of what he wants to do. It's like
Don't we all?
anywhere, like over here versus over there.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's like
exactly.
two opposite things.
Right.
Well, that's
So-
the time to have that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got plenty of time to figure out what you want to do. And then, it's never too late. You can always change your mind. You
Yeah,
can
for
always do
sure.
something as long as you're dedicated.
Yeah. And I'd love to see him, stay here and be working the wine industry, but
Or just some sort of farming egg,
right.
something,
But
yeah.
if that's not what they want to do, that's not
Right.
what they want to do.
Right.
I'm with my kiddos, I'll be happy if they're healthy and happy
Yeah,
and
that's what counts.
somewhat successful in life. It's been a really nice summer. The weather's been nice. It's been hot.
Right.
We just got a slip and slide delivered yesterday.
Oh
so,
my God.
Slip and
That
slide.
was my
set that
favorite
up.
thing in life
Yeah.
as a kid.
That's so classic.
Yeah.
I tried to do that when I was about 35. I thought, oh, big mistake.
Yeah.
Not at all the way I remember it.
Yikes. Yeah. Bruised.
Yeah. Okay, not walking again for a few days. Oh
I
my
didn't know
God.
they still made slip and
Yeah.
slides.
Oh, yeah.
So you could put
But I'm sure they come with more warnings now.
So no, you should have an adult slip and slide that's full of Chardonnay or
Yeah,
There
something.
you
just
go.
slide down.
Yeah.
The runoff
like
slip
it.
and slide. The slip and slide press.
There you go.
God, yes, I'm full of great ideas. It's time for our Fast Five. Who do we have on the line now?
This is Leo from Leo Steen Wines.
Awesome.
nice.
Hey, Leo. So what's
Hey.
your Fast Five recipe?
Fast five recipe. I think since summer is approaching and something unappreciated, it's eggplant.
Awesome.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love
Yeah?
eggplant.
Oh, you do?
do.
Oh,
I do.
okay.
But it's hard to come up with good
Aubergine.
recipes. Okay.
So something I like to do in the summer is you take eggplant, you slice it thin, and you dry them. So use a mandolin if you have, and you dry them off, salt on them, and when they're dry and salted, you put a little bit of olive oil and balsamic on. You can kind of stir it on there, and then you flip them quickly on the barbecue. So this little dish is called slice and spice. That's the
Slice and
slice.
spice.
The spice
I love
it's a mixture where you shave a bunch of parmesan. And when you think you have enough, just do a little more. You take fennel seeds and you grind them in your mortar, and you put small fennel in there, and then lots of orange peel.
Oh, wow.
So you
What?
have the orange, the spicy anise,
The
the cheese, the
zest.
zest, and that you put on the grilled eggplant with the balsamico, and you roll them up
Yes.
so like a
like a
cannelloni.
little roll up.
Oh, that would be
So
so good.
that's your slice and spice. You can always add to your spice, but simplify it with just cheese, orange peel, and anise.
That
Makes
sounds
great.
amazing. Like slice and spice. So what would you serve with this? What wine?
Oh, good one. Maybe something like a Green Veltliner or something like that.
Oh,
or-
yeah, something that's so bright and
yeah,
acidic.
Something that also have that side of it, that
Yeah.
herbal.
Little
that-
oomph.
Yeah, that
I
could be
love
one.
it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Sparkling
Slice
wine
and
is not going to be off the way either. you
No,
know,
it
so
seems like
It's never off the
never off the
It's
list.
always a possibility.
Slice and spice. We
something. Yeah.
Awesome.
Check it
Well,
out.
I love those flavor profiles. The zest, the orange, the fennel. Yum.
Okay,
We'll
thanks.
put that in the show
Yeah.
notes.
Thanks for calling in.
All
Thanks,
right.
Leo.
Bye.
Bye.
Looking towards harvest and
Yeah, harvest
what are your
getting going.
thoughts and what's
Yep.
happening? Where's that headed?
So I'm excited this year. Everything looks really good. The timing is normal, just in terms of my experience,
Right.
versus 2023, which everything was running for about 4 weeks behind.
Gosh, I forgot that.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you said that,
People
Last
were
year was an
bringing stuff in
anomaly.
November.
yes, that's right. I completely forgot
I
that.
think the last person I knew harvest was at Thanksgiving.
Yeah, there
Mhm.
was really late.
It was so
Yeah.
late.
And it worked out. Like the quality was really good
Yeah.
for the most part,
Right.
in terms of my experience. But I've gotten so used to, pretty much being done
Oh yeah.
by Halloween.
By Halloween usually, yeah.
And then
I
there's
mean,
all these other
yeah.
things that have to happen at certain times. So
Right.
if that's late, that pushes everything else.
Right.
So
Right.
it is not just a date; it's a whole
Yeah.
processes.
Yeah,
that-
really. That's interesting that you say that, because we got really anxious in terms of our malolactic fermentations for
Yeah.
our Chardonnay.
Right.
They were going pretty late into the following year, February, March,
Right.
and generally they're done.
Cold, yeah.
So that was interesting because it does affect things downstream.
Yeah, everything has it's like a dominoes.
Mm-hmm.
But things look good this year, and
Yeah,
you think
things
you're
look
on
good. Yep.
on track.
Yeah. I mean, man, this year flew by though, so I can't believe it's already here again, but excited for it. I mean, this is kind of what we live for as winemakers. So,
I know it's funny. I've done some. We have an event in November, and I've done a winemaker breakfast for that event, and it's just interesting because at that point, the winemakers are there, like they haven't had a day off in 3 months,
mm-hmm.
and they're like still excited about it. I'm like, what is wrong with you people? But like they just live for that, and
Yeah.
like okay,
That's
you're-
too funny.
You're running on
like I'm annoyed that I'm at an
adrenaline,
event on Saturday.
right?
Like oh well,
You're not cut out to be a winemaker.
Yeah, no.
I think the flip side of that is trying to get some time where you do have some downtime.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And for us, that's usually like mid-December
Right.
into January. So that's the time we
Gotta
kind of
make it through
shut
that.
everything
That's when
down.
you see all the winemakers. Everyone goes to Hawaii
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
Everyone
Yeah, I do see a
goes
lot.
away.
Yeah.
Right.
It's their one quiet time.
make the most of it.
And then you have bottling, and
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about bottling. Me and Beth are volunteered to bottle.
Yeah.
yeah, that's
No,
that'll
that's-
be
Now you
happening.
may regret this,
Yeah.
but
No, we won't be too hard on you. I really enjoy the bottling process. It's the accumulation of a lot of hard work and a lot of people's hard work. I mean, you have the grape growers, you have everybody that works in the vineyard, you have the truck drivers that deliver all the goods, you have everybody at the winery. I mean, it's just the accumulation of a lot of people's inputs, and it feels really good to finally get a wine into a bottle. You can kind of breathe.
yeah,
I think that
it becomes real.
Well, it's tangible. Yeah,
it's
you can see it.
tangible,
At the end of the
yeah.
day,
and
this is
you
what
hold
we
that
did.
bottle in your
Yeah.
hands, and it does symbolize all the people and all the work
Right.
yeah,
that went into it.
and the vision really just becomes tangible,
Mhm.
like you said. So I really enjoy the process, but we do have a bottling truck at the winery that we own now, which has been a fantastic
Oh,
tool.
that's great. Yeah.
Being a small winery, it's a challenge to have a bottling line, generally because a small winery will only bottle maybe 3-4 weeks out of the
And
year.
it takes
Yeah.
up a lot of space.
And so, yeah, it's not realistic to have a bottling line full time because you just don't need it for the most of the
Yeah.
year. And so we had one built in a mobile truck that we can utilize
I think
when
we
we
saw that
want.
because
Yeah,
when
we
you were
were
doing the
there
Blue Bin.
once, and
Yeah.
we saw that it was happening. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so cool.
And then when we're not using it, we can park it
Yeah,
on
out of the way.
yeah, out of the way. And so that gives us flexibility in terms of schedule. What a lot of wineries do is they'll hire a mobile truck to come to them, but those mobile trucks get awfully busy.
Oh yeah.
And everybody wants the bottle the first week of August. That's
Right.
like the prime week.
Right.
You can't get a truck
can't
to
get a truck.
yeah,
Well,
to
plus
save your
things
life.
go wrong.
So,
Maybe the labels aren't there, and like the
Correct.
truck's ready there, and this is when you have it
Correct.
scheduled. You miss that,
yeah.
you're out. You're out of luck. Yeah, it's
So
It's
dealing with
stressful.
those challenges a lot over the years, scheduling,
Mm-hmm.
etc. Having our own line, having that flexibility in
Right.
scheduling is
A lot of peace of
it's
mind.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I get to spend time on the truck during the bottling process, and I really love mechanical things.
right.
So it's
Yeah, it is like an amazing process how it goes down and the labels.
is cool.
It's mesmerizing to kind of watch it. It's
Yeah.
it's a very cool thing
yeah.
to see
So
that
Automation.
a bottling
Henry
line.
we're gonna
Ford.
We're gonna let both of you know when we're bottling, and we're gonna
Yeah.
put you all
We're
to
going to
work.
be on there. I can't
Because
wait.
we're bottling the Pinot Meunier. We're basically
Correct.
there because we want to be paid in Pinot Meunier.
Yeah.
Ah,
There's
truth
always
comes
an
out.
ulterior motive.
Did I say that out loud? Oh no. I was supposed to be thinking that in
You
my
were
head.
thinking it, and then it came out.
I've given up the ghost here.
What is new?
The truth is truth. It's hard. I cannot lie. I'm like George Washington.
yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
chop down a Pinot Meunier tree.
There you go.
Something like that. Oh my gosh, where's my glass? Oh, I'm almost empty. Can't let that happen. Delish. I'm a big fan of Blue Bin. Should we mention that at all, or?
Blue Bin is our product line that's in the 100% recycled rPET bottle, and so my
yeah.
wife and I will drink
Yeah.
it, and the experience with that bottle is just so different.
I know, I think so.
Yeah.
And so just that whole experience on how you interact with that bottle,
Right.
like you could take that bottle and you could throw it in a cooler,
Right,
and it's going to bounce around. It's going to be
Right.
totally fine.
right.
So it's just kind of takes a slight layer of pretension out
I was
of
going to say, it takes the
glass
pretentiousness out
bottle,
of it.
right?
Yes,
Yeah.
So it makes it so much more accessible.
I think so.
But
that
also,
experience.
the sustainability and younger people especially, that is very important to them in
Right.
wine. That wine, they want to know what the footprint is. They want to
Right.
know
Right.
how this relates to the environment. And
Totally.
that answers all those questions.
Totally.
So I
Yeah.
think it's not just innovation, it's progressing to where, the world has come, where we're
Right.
going and how we need to approach. So
Right.
I
And
think it's right there.
You need to help build that infrastructure in terms of creating that market for recycled plastic.
Right.
And to
Because
be-
it gives it a place for the plastic to go.
Yeah, because otherwise it's going in the
So it's
ocean.
like a
Yeah.
thought
Correct.
leader position. You do this, other people, someone has to be first.
Mm-hmm.
And then everyone else comes along because
Yeah.
it's proof of concept. It's people saying, "Oh, maybe I hadn't thought of that,"
Yeah.
or maybe it's time to
Yeah.
do this as well.
And one thing I will say about that bottle is I am so impressed in terms of how the wine is held up in it. I mean, with wine, it's very susceptible to oxidation, right?
Right.
And that's why glass is the package that we've been using, because historically plastic will oxidize your wine.
Right.
So the producer of these bottles, they came up with this liner called Plasmax that basically makes that bottle function like a glass bottle.
Right.
And me as a winemaker going into it, I'm like, whew,
I
okay,
don't know.
let's
yeah.
see.
Yeah, right.
And, we're the first bottling,
You had to be worried.
oh yeah, we're about 12 months after the first bottling. The wines, they're no different than if we
Right.
were to use a glass bottle.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so my comfort level is extremely high
Yeah.
with the quality of the packaging in general. And I think the versatility is pretty exciting.
Yeah, I mean, for the
It's
beach, for a
to me the way
festival,
of the
for
future.
music, for all purposes, and bonus alert, the wine is great. So
Yeah.
Exactly.
that's the wine should come
Well,
first.
yeah, I want the wine
but
to
in
be
this,
good. Right.
It is the packaging is the attention.
Okay, I'll probably have to finish your wine, Marcy, because my glass is empty.
The things I have
She's a
to
team
do
player.
for you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so anything else we need to know about what's new and happening at River Road Family Vineyards?
I think we touched on most things. Just excited to get another vintage underway and see what next season has in store, because I'm sure there'll be a few things coming down the pipe. But I think the exciting things for me this year is bringing back some of these more legacy wines like
Oh,
the Mills,
absolutely.
I
Mills
love that.
Chardonnay and
Yeah.
This
um,
is really delicious.
and then the Pinot Meunier
You
as
know,
well.
it's funny, and not funny, but as it opens, you get that tertiary notes in here. You get a little butterscotch, you get a little, but I love it because it's what wine should do.
It's it's a very dynamic wine that offers a lot of different facets and faces.
Definitely,
Like,
yeah.
Because I'll sit here and I'll smell those little things,
Yeah.
and I'll go back and look for it, and I can't, and they're
right,
gone.
It's gone, yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, wait a second.
Right.
Right.
It's so in the moment. That's what's
Yeah.
fun about wine to me is that it's constantly evolving. You pour a little, smell, pour a little, smell, and it should change.
It should change,
evolve.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
interacting with the environment and the air,
Yep.
but you get those secondary notes, and that's what I love about wine. It's
Yeah.
endlessly interesting.
Yeah.
As are you, Ed.
I know. I'm so excited to have you back. Okay, so one of our last shows, we talked to somebody who'd been on the show before, and And we start asking, like, how many times have we had repeat guests? Not very often.
Yeah.
So then we joked it has to be like SNL. We have to, like, the 5th time you're on, you
get
get a
the
new jacket or
There
something.
you go.
So I'm like, yeah,
I think
okay.
Ed's a three-peat.
I think he's a
It
three-peat.
is.
You're a
Yes,
three-peat.
I am.
You're our first
That's
three-peat.
the first three-peat. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so
I'll drink
we'll
to
work on
that.
a jacket. We'll see what we can come up with.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a true honor.
Yeah,
I love it. That's
Well,
great.
Our studio doors are always open.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Oh, fun. Okay, I think, let's see. Do I have anything else? I almost always have something else. Oh, I know. So I should also mention before we wrap it up that we have tickets on sale for the Wine and Food Affair, which is the first weekend in November. And it's a great event in that it's a food and wine pairing weekend. So every winery that participates has one wine that is featured with their recipe. And the recipes are all online at wineroad.com. So when you go to some wineries and taste some certain things that you think the pairing is just perfect, you can go home and you'll have the recipe. So you can replicate it at home. So the event is November 2nd. It goes from 11, the 2nd and 3rd, actually. It goes from 11 to 4 both days. Tickets at wineroad.com. This is the 26th year for Wine and Food Affair.
26?
Woohoo.
26.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a major milestone.
I
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
So we'll put that in the show notes, a link to that. We'll put a link to River Road Vineyards because you can order these beautiful wines direct. They're not really open for you to come and taste, but you can buy the wine and host your own tasting.
Yeah, order online.
Yeah, we do tastings on Fridays by
On
appointment.
Fridays.
Yeah.
By appointment.
Okay, by appointment on
Yeah.
Fridays. Good to know.
So
that
Ron
is-
talked about that when he was on the show, and I thought, oh,
Mhm.
man, I can't wait to see how many people go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're broadcasting
You
this.
shouldn't probably have
Yep.
said that on a podcast, but that's okay.
That's all right.
Well, then we have to go help because
Yeah.
it was our fault.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we love when people come see us, and we love educating people about what we do.
Of
and
course.
just sharing.
Right.
But you
sharing
have
the
to be prepared to
experience.
host.
Yeah,
and,
Yep.
but it's a
you know,
There's that.
reservation.
It is a special thing too. So we will put that all in the show notes. Thank you, Ed, so much for
It
coming.
was
You bet.
awesome to have you.
Thank both of you.
I felt
fun.
like I had to go back and look in his car and make sure there's no barrel on
Yeah,
top.
yeah, we're going to check before he leaves.
And we'll see you on the Wine Road.
Thank you.